Fishful Thinker Television, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Toyota Trucks, moving forward. Hewlett-Packard, invent. St. Croix Rod, fish with an American legend. So this morning we've got a beautiful morning out here. We're located at the very top of Cameron Pass here in Colorado. And we got a really interesting show for you today because we are going to be fishing for grayling, the little Arctic grayling. Not a ton of those located in Colorado, but in the places you can find them, there should theoretically be a bunch of them. Beautiful fish. And something unique, you know, one of the things here on Fishful Thinker TV that we've been trying to do is to inspire people to get out and fish. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, I've never caught a grayling before. I've never even seen one in person, but we're out here on Joe Wright Reservoir, which is the very top of Cameron Pass. You can see we got the high peaks behind me. Got a beautiful day here. It's August in Colorado, and we're hoping to be able to catch some of these grayling. We're going to do some of it with spinning rod here. I've got, or with a fly tackle, I should say. I've got a little 5-weight St. Croix fly rod right here we're going to use, and I've got an ultralight St. Croix spinning rod there, and we may use that as well just to show some different ways to go about catching these little graylings. I don't know if we'll catch any great big ones or not. We'll find out, but it's a new species and something we're going to try to learn along the way. So hang in there. It's an absolutely beautiful setting. You've got a beautiful day, so we'll just see how it goes. One of the ways we're going to go about catching these grayling on the fly rod here is just a little peacock, like a zug bug nymph, a little like a size 16 nymph, little tiny zug bug, and they're well known. Graylings are well known for liking the peacock colors and just basic small nymph patterns. But we're not fishing them heavily weighted. We're going to be fishing them right into the surface, relatively deep water. We're seeing rises all around, so we may go to full dry fly tackle as well. But we're going to focus on the little nymphs, and then we've got some super small tube jigs that we're going to throw on the spinning tackle. Now this is a flies and lures only lake, so we can't use anything scented, but we'll be using little tiny soft plastic tube jigs to try to catch some of them as well. So we're not going to use anything real fancy. If you fly fished anywhere in the United States, you've probably got the flies and tackle that we're going to do this with, and certainly the spinning tackle is going to be something that most everyone we have. We've got 2-pound Fireline crystal on that spinning rod. It's an ultralight rod. These fish are not giant. If we catch a 15-incher, we'll be doing really good. These fish, all about the beauty. So the grayling are a lot about the environment we're catching them in, and the quality of the fish, the colors and everything on the fish themselves. So we'll show you some in just a minute. Okay, so we've hooked up our first fish of the morning, and we don't know what we got here. Got him on the reel. It does appear to be a grayling. So this would in fact be the first grayling that I have ever personally laid eyes on. We've been fishing for him for about 10 minutes. Beautiful little fish. He's down in the real clear water here. Water's just unbelievably clear. See if we can get him over here and net him real gracefully here, just so we make sure we get a look at him. All right, now we've got a barbless fly, and we'll get him unhooked. He's hooked right in the tip of the snout here. We'll get him unhooked, and there you go. Look at the big old grayling fin. See if we can get him in the sun there. Big giant fin on the top of him, kind of like a whitefish, but with a lot of color to him. We don't have good sun. Oh man, he got away. Well, we'll have to find us another one. When we're working our way down this shore, we've caught him rising along this shore. We're on the south bank at Joe Wright Reservoir here. We've caught him rising along this shore. We're just very slow stripping a little soft tackle wet fly, real generic fly, like a size 16. It's got a little peacock body and partridge soft tackle on it. Got it on a 5-weight and a 5X tippet. And do have a fairly long leader. This water is absolutely crystal clear. So numerous guys in here. There's lots of them in here. So it's more a matter of finding out where they're really concentrated than anything else. Again, I'm no grayling expert by any stretch, just here to prove that with some basic information I got on the internet, got on fishexplorer.com, learned a little bit about the lake, did some digging around about grayling, and then gathered up that tackle and brought it out here. We're in an 11.5-foot boat, real simple. Anyone could do it. We're gonna hopefully catch some on spinning gear as well in a little bit, but wanted to get the fly rod out first. We've been playing with different flies and changing them up, trying to find one that they consistently like. You can see how clear the water is here. So these fish get an excellent opportunity. And like I said, I'm no grayling expert, but from what I've seen, they have excellent eyesight. I did some reading on that as well. They have just real good eyesight, and in living in an environment as clear as they do, I guess that's not all really that surprising. But we got this one right in the corner of the mouth. Let's bring him on in here and we'll get him unhooked real quick. And what a beautiful fish they are. Let me get him unhooked here. And we got a barbless hook, so they come right out. And we'll get that out of there, and look at that fish in the sun. Look at they shiny, kind of like a whitefish looking fish with the big tall fin on him. Little kind of inferior mouth, real pretty little fish. Let's get him back in the lake there. You're not gonna believe this, guys, but we were just fixing to change flies, and I dropped the fly over the side of the boat, and it's sitting along next to the boat, and sometimes you just get lucky. And this grayling right here, which happens to be a very nice grayling, came and ate it right at the boat, literally hanging off the side of the boat. That goes to tell you that these guys probably don't get a whole lot of pressure, because he was right under the boat. Is that not a pretty fish right there? You see his big fin, that's what they're famous for, this big upper fin. Reminds me of the sailfish from in Florida, but beautiful colors on him. I'm sure the camera doesn't do it justice. Hopefully we're gonna catch a bunch of those today. So we're gonna let that one go. He was ambitious, but got a little bit lucky there. Just fixing to change flies, dropped the fly over the side of the boat, boom, got bit. So didn't get him biting on film, but wasn't exactly the most graceful fish I ever caught anyway. That's okay, we'll take him, beautiful fish, and see if we can get us another one. Boy, you can see him in that clear water out there. Look at the colors on him. People don't think of grayling as jumpers really a whole lot, but they definitely fired up. Pretty little fish in the sun out there. Let me see if we can get him gracefully to the boat here, and we'll get a good look at him. What a gorgeous fish these are. You know, there's something special about the grayling, not just the fish being unique because there's so few of them around, but also the terrain in which you find them is amazing. We'll see if we can keep him out of the net gracefully here. And we got a hold of him. Perfect. Got that hook right in the top of the snoot, should come right out. Without any problem here, if I can get a hold of the fly. There goes the fly. Nice little grayling. Stand that fin up for us, buddy. See if we can get to stand that fin. You can see the colors on the fin. We're gonna go ahead and get him back in there. I don't like to keep him out of the water any longer than I have to when they're fired up like that, but I've never seen a grayling until today, and it's really important for me, as a goal of all these shows, is to educate folks that you can go do this on your own. This is not anything real super exotic. We don't have a guide. We don't have $1 million in tackle in the boat here. We did a little research on the internet and some basic reading, find some things out about grayling themselves, about the lake itself, everything from the rules about being hand launched to the surface acres to the elevation to the primary bugs. And did a little bit of reading, spent a few hours, drove up here from Fort Collins. We're about 3 hours from Denver, and we've been able to catch these grayling one after the other here, and we're gonna see if we can catch some more on spinning tackle here in just a little bit. You've already got your fly rod. Now you need to choose a fly line. It's very, very important that the weight of your fly rod match the weight designation on your fly line. But beyond that, there's a couple other things to consider. One is the taper of that fly line. This is a double taper fly line. This DT7F dictates that this is a double taper, 7-weight floating fly line. This is a WF7F, or a weight forward floating 7-weight fly line. The difference is this will load the rod on shorter casts. We'll put more bend in the rod on short casts. We'll certainly throw better in the wind, and we'll throw better with larger flies. A double taper fly line, on the other hand, will make for more delicate presentations, a little bit easier roll casting, and it's a good all-around fly line. as with a lot of the types of fishing that you see me do, and anyone that watches this show on a regular basis know I harp on it. And first of all, thanks for watching, but polarized sunglasses. I'm a Casa del Mar user. I love their glass. Whatever company it is that you choose for your sunglasses, get good polarized sunglasses. This water is absolutely clear. Got a little tannin in it, but for the most part, it's absolutely clear. And we're using our glasses to help us catch fish today. You know, when I'm bass fishing, I use my electronics a lot, or walleye fishing. Well, in this type of fishing, it's not about the electronics, it's all about the visual aspects. All right, we've been making some long casts here. We got a little breeze picking up, and the weather's kind of turned against us, and we got another one hooked up. So perfect. You know, we changed flies yet again. We've been changing flies a lot, and it seems to be important that we do that. And so you know, we keep changing them. We'll keep getting fish to bite. Let me get down here. We can get a hold of this one. And actually, as I preach on all the different things I do around the country for seminars, if you pattern fish a little bit, we got bit on this same point before. We drifted across it. What these little guys lack in size, they sure make up for in beauty. And you know, catching them on the fly rod like this, it's just an absolute blast. Beautiful little fish. There he goes, no worse for the wear. So see if I can hustle another cast on that point real quick, and we'll get us another one. Let's see who's home there. Here he comes. Oh, he just refused my fly. Okay, now that's happened to us a lot with the risers. We've had a whole lot of them come in and really give it a good close look or swirl at it as it sinks, but not get it. It's only the blind fish that we're just blind casting to that we seem to be able to get the fly. And I've switched up quite a few flies. I suspect they're a little bit leader shy, like maybe a 6 or 7X fluorocarbon leader might be a better deal than the 5X mono that I'm throwing right now. Not sure that I can tell you that's the case, but I've definitely had a lot of refusals from fish that are shallow. I just had another one, boom, got that one. That one just came and got it, and I got that one. Now I saw that one come up and splash at it, and I gave the fly one little strip just to give him an incentive to actually commit to it, and he ate it. So maybe that's going to be the deal. Instead of giving him that much chance to look at it, maybe I need to be a little bit more along the lines of trying to trigger him. As soon as that fish came to look, I stripped it like I was going to strip it away from him. Let's see if we can gracefully get him in the boat. Come on in here, buddy. So as soon as that fish went to look at the fly, as soon as I saw him coming to look, I stripped it away from him. Let me get the fly out here, and we'll show him to you, or we can just throw him back in the lake. I was going to do that with him anyway. But you know, I might have figured something out just then, because we've had several fish. The fish right before that came up, looked right at the fly, and just swam right away and refused it. This one, as soon as I saw him coming, I gave it a quick strip, boom, he ate it, he committed to it. Basically, he had to either eat it or let it get away. And in an environment like this, where it's you know, a 10,000 foot lake that's a relatively sterile ecosystem by, let's say, a bass pond standards, fish doesn't have a lot of opportunity. He needs to eat when there's something available to eat, and we were able to trigger that one to bite. It's not something I would have guessed with the grayling, but I've preached for years that a game fish is a game fish is a game fish, and they can all be triggered to bite at you know, with various ways. Sometimes a real erratic retrieve will do it. Sometimes a real fast retrieve will do it. In this case, it was just stripping it away from a fish who was looking at it as an easy meal. So that worked real good. I'd like to catch a couple of them on the spinning rod. So now that the wind's up and it's a little more overcast, I expect that a slightly more aggressive retrieve would work, and that will fall in line with the spinning rod. So I've got 2-pound test Fireline Crystal. It's the same rig that I use for high mountain streams, for little brookies, things like that. Little tiny Shimano and a real light action St. Croix. And we've got a tiny little jig head here, and I mean tiny, like a 48-ounce jig head, and just a little unscented plastic crayfish looking thing. We're gonna throw that out here and see if we can't pick up a grayling or two with the spinning rod before the weather gods get angry on us and we get wet this afternoon. If you're gonna fish in the high altitude stuff, it doesn't matter what time of year, be prepared for the bad weather and be prepared to fish early to take advantage of your day. All right, another alternative bait that might work better than this jig, and we'll have to see, certainly would be an option, would be a fly in a bubble. You could use some of the flies we've been using today with a water-filled bubble and stay up a little higher in the surface film. Anything, there's one right there though. But then, oh, when he came off, that figures right when I'm talking about the fly in the bubble. Maybe a little bit too loose on that one. See if we can pick another one up here. There we go. So we're gonna prove a little variety on the spinning rod here. We've been catching them on the fly rod, now we got them on the spinning rod. Funny, we got probably the smallest fish of the day on the spinning rod with the biggest bait. Go figure. I'm always the guy that's yelling big fish for big baits, or big baits for big fish, but this time not the case. If I can get this guy to hold still just a minute, we'll get him off of here. He's fairly unhappy about being hooked, and but he's barely hooked, so he'll come right out. All right, there we go. Tiny, tiny little grayling there. That's a baby grayling. They're hard to handle, those little guys are. Choosing the proper fly reel for your application is really not that difficult. A couple of key features to look for. One is the arbor size. The size of the arbor in the reel will dictate how fast this reel will take up fly line when you're reeling it in. A large arbor reel like this will retrieve line faster than a small arbor reel like this. Another key thing to look for is the construction. This is a stamped steel reel. This is a machined aluminum reel. This reel will be lighter and will be more durable, and it's probably a little bit more cosmetically pleasing. The most important feature, though, is definitely the sealed disc drag. This reel has a sealed disc drag. This reel's a click pawl drag. Small fish, light duty applications, this is fine. If you want to get serious, machined aluminum, sealed disc drag's the way to go. There's one right there. Just working that thing through the water column, and they just load up on it. It's not some big resounding strike. It just sort of is on semi-slack lines. You barely even feel that they grabbed it. And as with the flies, we're fishing with the barbless stuff here. We'll see about this guy here. See if we can get a hold of him. And we'll see how cooperative he's going to be here. And he's hooked right in the top of the snoot. He's unhooked. Beautiful colors on him. Let me get him a drink of water here. Get him some airflow. Look at that fish. I mean, what more? If we can get these fins up on him, you can see they got a big giant dorsal fin there. We're gonna let him go. He wants out of here, so we're gonna let him go. What a setting and what a fish. Now when I'm casting right now, I'm casting in a pretty major crosswind, and because of that, I like a little bit more line speed. So you're going to notice I'm going to work the fly rod a little bit more aggressively. The extra line speed keeps me from getting tangled. So, oh, I just missed fish. Now see, I'm talking about my fancy casting instead of my fancy fish catching. See if we can get another one to bite here. But honestly, if you can keep your line speed up and keep your trajectory a little lower, the wind will be not so much of an issue. And you can see those fish are rising all around that fly, but we can't get them to bite on the surface. We haven't figured out what fly it is they're actually rising to. So we're taking a generic bug and just stripping it underneath them, and it seems to work. If you notice, I drop my pole like this and lift it back up so I can get a visual on where my line is. This Fireline Crystal in 2-pound test is very thin, and I mean thin, guaranteed the thinnest stuff you've ever fished with. And so seeing it in the air can be a bit of a trick. So if I lay the rod down in the water and lift it up like this, then I can see the trail that leaves on the surface and gives me a quick idea where my bug actually is out there. All right, now we went right back for him. I just missed that fish just a minute ago. Went right back for him. Now this is that same gravel hump we were just talking about. And the wind came up and got high enough that it was getting to be difficult to keep that little boat that we've been fishing out of in a good fishable spot. So we beached the boat, and I can fish that same gravel hump from here, and apparently I can be at no real disadvantage. Got a beautiful grayling right here. This is probably one of the nicer ones we've caught today. Pretty fish. Let's bring him on up here gracefully. I don't want to get him in the gravel if I can avoid it. And got him. And he's hooked right on the top of the snout. I'll pop the barbless fly out of there real gracefully. I think so. And we have procured another high mountain grayling, this time from the bank. Got out of the little boat. Absolutely beautiful fish. Let's get him back in the water here. We'll be able to take off, and there he goes. You can't ever stress enough that fishing is not always about catching fish. I mean, that's easy to say, and it's an easy excuse when you haven't caught them, but you know what? We've caught a lot of fish today, and we've had a lot of fun doing it, but half the fun of this trip has been the surroundings that we're in. It's absolutely beautiful up here. You have a good chance of seeing moose or bears or anything else here on top of Cameron Pass, or any other passes in Montana or Idaho or Colorado or wherever you might be watching this from. But you know, if you take the time, get out of town a little bit. These days the economy may not be all that great, but we didn't go 500 miles and we didn't hire a high dollar fishing guide and go somewhere exotic. We caught little tiny grayling, but they're absolutely beautiful. The surroundings are beautiful. We caught them on tackle that's very appropriate for catching small fish like that. Very light action spinning rod, or a very light fly rod that we caught them on earlier today as well. So, you know, take advantage of the fact that we live out here in the West. We've got these opportunities. Get out and go fish. Here he comes. Oh, dang it. Cut. Cut. I think you saw the line, dude. Oh, damn it. Oh, ho, 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 ho.